Milwaukee and Chicago atop the division. Now the Cubs are playing a doubleheader today against the Dodgers. The Cardinals now 4 games out after a really tough loss last night, and their record sits at 37-33. Meanwhile, how about the Atlanta Braves? We'll see them in about 2 weeks or so. 42-29 and a lead over the Phillies and Washington. 3.5 games, those two teams are back.
Atlanta Braves, one of the more improved teams in the major leagues. They are getting production out of some new faces there. 2 rookies in particular, their second baseman and left fielder.
The Cardinal lineup for game number 2, Matt Carpenter and Tommy Pham, followed by Jose Martinez, then Marcell Ozuna, Yadier Molina, Dexter Fowler, Jairo Munoz, Colton Wong, and the pitcher batting ninth, Luke Weaver. Vince Velasquez took a no-hitter into the 7th in his last start. Trevor Story broke it up with a 2-out double, earned the win with 2 runs just given up in 6 2/3. It was a 93 win.
This guy has some arm. Also a great athlete, a good hitter, runs the bases. As a matter of fact, in the Phillies lineup tonight, there was one guy, Odubel Herrera, who has a higher batting average than Velasquez.
Wow.
In late June.
Right. Yeah, Vasquez could really swing the bat.
He can.
We'll give you some of those numbers. And it seems like every guy in high school was a great hitter. Velasquez was really good.
No, real good.
Here is Matt Carpenter. And the first pitch is strike, and we're underway. Now Carpenter and Pham lead the Cardinals in homers with 11. It was the second straight game with a home run for Carpenter last night as he hit it to the opposite field. And he pulls it into the shift on the second pitch of the ball game, and that's out number 1. Around the Horn is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Hoskins, Herrera, Altair in the outfield. Crawford, Kingery, Hernandez, Santana on the infield. Jorge Alfaro is behind the plate.
Altair, the right fielder, not only got the game-tying hit last night, but on the same hit, he got the game-winning hit.
That was a tough loss for the Cardinals, and you could say, well, maybe the team, didn't earn the right to win the game with 19 strikeouts. Maybe the ball should have been caught and left. Any way you want to add it up, that was a hard-fought game, both sides, and it's a loss, and it's tough to swallow.
That's right.
And Tommy Pham pops it up. Carlos Santana in foul territory, and that's out number 2.
There's nobody on the Cardinal team that takes an offer as tough as Tommy Pham.
Agreed. For an out.
No.
Jose Martinez, a career .357 average against the Phils.
What he just did and what they are doing along with the catcher, you can put into conversations at first base. None of that means anything.
Little tap on the catcher gear. Hello to the umpire. Tip of the helmet to the opposing team. You don't like any of it.
Should be outlawed.
Outlawed. Banned.
Man should be suspended for 2 days.
Is that right?
That's exactly right. A little tough, but
a little.
It's the way you get things done.
You want your point. You want it heard.
Correct.
Suspension. You've lost your mind, McCarver. 1 ball, 1 strike. Don't get him going on mound visits. Or handing a mask to a catcher.
Well, you gotta agree that the game is being played under different circumstances now, almost throughout Major League Baseball.
Sure.
I don't think it's for the detriment of the game, but there are parts of it that are, 2-strike hitting, things like that. The game is really, really different.
Talked about it last night, moving a runner from second to third with a ground ball right side. What we would think is the right way to play, but you're not paid for that. And the idea is you put up numbers, you help your team win, and by putting up numbers you get paid.
think as a result, and this is to me a fair statement, the game selfishly played more this year and over the past couple of years than in past years.
Mike Maddox will send out his young right-hander, Luke Weaver. A 1-2-3 inning for Velasquez. Start was back on Wednesday. 4-2 loss to the Padres. He went 5 1/3. He allowed 4 runs and still looking for a win. His first since May 11th. We'll see if he gets back on track tonight. There's a look at his Hyundai pitch arsenal.
Mostly fastballs, but an improved changeup. The big problem with Luke is staying ahead.
Well, the Phillies have won 6 of 8 and 42 runs scored in those 8 games. Here's their offense. The lineup: Hernandez, Hoskins, and Herrera, followed by Santana, Altair, Kingery, Alfaro, Velasquez, the pitcher, batting 8th, and then J.P. Crawford.
Danny, we used to talk about this in the dugout. It's not the stuff that a pitcher has, but it's when he uses it and how he uses the stuff that he has. And I think that certainly applies to Luke Weaver.
Was pounding the strike zone in spring training, has gotten away from that a bit here as the season has progressed. And the 1-0 to Cesar Hernandez is a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hernandez off to a good start this year, 5th in walks and runs in the National League. Change up, and it's 1-2. It is the beauty of a long season, the beauty of baseball, to have the opportunity to quickly put last night behind you and focus on game 2. And if you're a Cardinal, and if you're Mike Matheny, that's the message, I'm sure, going into the second game of this series.
And players usually, when you're playing every day, you have about 2.5 hours to either celebrate a win or use your crying towel. And last night was worthy of a crying towel.
3-2.
Again.
14 times this happened last night for the Phillies. A team that swings and misses a bunch, and they went to a 3-2 count 14 different times. And that pitch is taken high for ball 4. Leadoff walk. It's a rematch of the game on May 17th. Weaver and Velasquez. Velasquez went 6 1/3 shutout innings. Weaver, one of his best starts of the season at Busch Stadium. 1 run in 7 innings against the Phillies. Rhys Hoskins broke his jaw in 9 games since returning from the disabled list. He's got 4 home runs, hitting .324, and he's driven in 11. Hernandez at first base with 10 stolen bases this year.
I think Cesar Hernandez is an excellent baseball player. The one thing he does poorly, he leads off and puts his hands on his knees. When you put your hands on your knees before you run, you have to take them off. That's why guys are taught not to put their hands on their knees ever.
How did George Kissel teach you to take a leadoff from first base? Probably not to cross your legs.
He didn't. Lou Brock did.
And what did Lou have to say about it?
He went. Lou Brock. You never saw Lou Brock with his hands on his knees leading off of first base.
And that's hit down the right field line and foul. Lou celebrating his 79th birthday yesterday, and again, happy birthday to Lou. Oh, 0-2 the count. It's a short lead at first by Hernandez. You know, last night, one of those games too, as a manager, you're thinking, And I'm sure you replay the game in your mind time and again, but one of the crucial moves in the game, and really it was on both sides, but Mike Matheny decided to walk the potential winning run to first base, and he came around to score. That was with Santana at the plate. And there's so many things that happened in that game, and I'm sure from a manager's perspective, you beat yourself up. It's human nature to think about all the decisions.
Decisions are made and they're forgotten, and you hope they turn out right. You base those decisions on judgment, good, clean judgment, and you turn the page.
And the 1-2 by Luke Weaver.
Sometimes bad decisions turn out well, and good decisions turn out poorly. Happens all the time. There are a lot of decisions, managers, catchers, pitchers, hitters, players in the field, they have to make all the time.
Outfield is straight away at a 2-2 pitch now by Weaver. And a base hit into left center field.
Well, I'll tell you,
this has got to be at third base.
He's got to be at third base. Got to be at third base.
Not only the way that Ozuna went after the ball, but advanced scouting will tell you he's not throwing the ball well.
The ball's in left center field. He's a right-handed thrower. If he were a left-handed thrower, then you could understand the tentativeness of Hernandez. But right there, he convinced himself that he was going to stop at second, and he did. Poor base running.
Here's Herrera, who is homered in back-to-back games. And batting .331 at home, .293 overall. But again, Tim, I mean, you go back to the point, and what you're saying is good baseball 101. But you have to understand, too, Ozuna has been nursing soreness in the arm. He's not throwing as well as he did a year ago. And that's talked about at first base. It's talked about in the meetings before the games. Well,
have you been watching the opposition? You know, if you're a guy like Hernandez, and he is a very, very good base runner, one of the best in the National League. Now, I'm really surprised he didn't try to go to third base.
Herrera was squaring to bunt again. Remember, he did that in the first inning against Michaelis.
He fouled that ball off.
And then hit a homer.
Oh, man, that's awful.
Carpenter to first base and the out.
That time he squared around. Talked to some of the Phillies. They said he probably did it on his own last night. I did not talk to Gabe Kapler about that, but when you're the third hitter, you're not up there to sacrifice. Befuddling. What's going on, partner?
If he did it on his own last night, then
he had
coach
to do
or
it
somebody has got to pull him aside and say, now,
don't do that.
Here's what we're thinking, and this is why we're thinking this way.
Yeah.
So here we are 24 hours later, and it happens again.
It's such a fun time at the old ballpark, huh, Danny?
He's got 10 home runs. It's the first inning. He's batting third.
Had one of those 3-run home runs last night. 39 RBIs, the leading hitter on the Phillies.
Here's Santana. And a strike.
If you're the Cardinals, sometimes what you're going to do, you have to ask yourself, what would the opposition think of this? Well, I guarantee you, third place hitter, if I'm the Cardinals, I think, thank you very much.
And in this case, if Jose Martinez bunts in the first inning, we're done. I can't imagine Jose Martinez squaring to bunt in the first inning with 2 runners on.
Or really any other third place hitter with two on and nobody out in the first.
So it begs the question, why is he batting third? If he's going to do that, put him at second or first or drop him down in the lineup.
Right.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. And it's 0-2. It's turned out to be a beautiful night here in Philly. Little breeze, not nearly as hot and muggy as it was for game 1.
I'm being playful here, but if you're Gabe Kapler, the manager, you don't scold Herrera for bunting. You scold Hernandez for not going to third, because if it's first and third and nobody out, Herrera doesn't even think that. I wouldn't think.
Yeah. And now a 1-2 pitch to Carlos Santana. Hit out of play. Runners in scoring position. The numbers for Santana: 294, 4 home runs, driven in 30. So the Cardinals elected to walk him. Matt Bowman was on the mound, and now here we are 24 hours later. He's on the DL. Jim will have more on that, as Greg Holland has been activated for the Cardinals. And the 1-2 pitch inside, 2-2. Runners scored 15 out of 21 times. This spot at 71%. Major League average 49%. Seems really low. Get your attention. 49% of the time, runner at third, less than 2 outs, they're brought in. Less than half the time. That's surprising to me.
That's for the league average, right?
Yeah. I mean, now strikeouts are way up. That's part of it.
Yeah. Another telltale sign of how the game's changed, too. It's not as important as it used to be in hitters' minds.
And the 2-2 put on the ground. There's Colton Wong. He makes the play and a run scores. And the Cardinals defensively tonight, 1-0 Phillies. Ozuna, Pham, and Fowler in the outfield. Around the Horn, presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Carpenter, Munoz, Wong, and Martinez along the infield, and Yadier Molina is behind the plate.
We've seen a plethora of mistakes here by the Phillies on the bases. I mean, you got Hoskins still at second base on a ground ball hit to the right side. He knows Hernandez is going to try to score on that ball. Pass ball, error. A lot of ways to score on third where you couldn't do it at second. And he's a good base runner. It's a very simple sign for a third base coach to give to the guy on second. I'm sending the runner. You tag your belt. There are a lot of ways to tell him. So that way you don't have to look toward third to see if the guy in front of you is trying to score.
Infield,
you know it.
Infield back.
Yeah, infield back.
Two balls and one strike. Aaron Altair with the base hit into left. Ozuna went for it with a diving catch, came up just short. 2 runs would score, and the Phillies had a walk-off victory. 25th pitch of the inning for Luke Weaver outside. Miles Michaelis last night with 35 pitches in the first inning, and then to his credit got settled in. And the second walk in the inning. Here's Scott Kingery hitting .221 with 3 homers. He's driven in 21. 2 walks in the inning and a base hit for the Phillies. walks, it just seems like at this level will come back to haunt you. And that was a leadoff walk to Hernandez, and he comes around to score.
It seems like they always score those leadoff walks.
And a strike.
Scott Kingery, one of the feel-good stories in baseball. A walk-on at the University of Arizona. It was so good, he was taken in the second round by the Phillies. Give it a big bonus, $24 million in spring training without ever seeing a major league pitch.
Credit to him to get the contract, and we'll see if it works out for the Phillies, because you could save a bundle by giving that kind of money guaranteed early.
That's exactly right. Lock him up early.
Here's the 0-2 pitch now to Kingery. You know, the Phillies moved into this ballpark in the mid-2000s and went out. They got Kevin Millwood. They signed Jim Thome. All of a sudden, Utley was coming through, and they invested in that team. They had a new ballpark, invested into the lineup and the payroll, won championships, won divisions. Everything came together at the right time.
Won 5 straight divisions, 2007 to 2011.
And a strikeout of Scott Kingery. 1-0 Phils. Cardinals have Ozuna, Molina, and Fowler coming up. Lowe's whole team together, comparison of 2017 and 18, this time of a season.
Almost identical.
Yeah. The difference is the teams in front of them not running away with it. Here's Marcell Ozuna. Milwaukee at Pittsburgh tonight. Freddie Peralta against Jameson Taillon. Milwaukee was shut out last night for the 10th time. That's a major league high.
Remarkable.
That lineup shut out.
Yeah.
And the Cubs hosting a doubleheader against the Dodgers.
They lost that first game, did the Cubs, to the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers scored 2 in the top of the 9th inning. Winning run scored by Justin Turner, the third baseman for the Dodgers.
Well, Ozuna, one of the hottest hitters right now in baseball. Hit safely in 13 of his last 15. Close to 400 in the month of June. Good breaking ball. That was the pitch last night. Nick Pivetta had that rolling. That curveball was nasty.
Well, when you can throw a curveball like this with the count 2 balls and no strikes, you know you're going to get good results generally.
The 2-1 pitch. 3-1. Velasquez came over from Houston. He was part of the Ken Giles deal. Giles, by the way, 11 saves, ERA of 4.5 this season for Houston. 3-1 pitch is popped up to the right side. Santana in foul territory with the catch. Let's turn to Tim McCarver's Toyota.
They've only done that in the history of the Redbirds 2 other times.
And a strike on Molina. Happy 90th birthday to Janetta Baggy, mother of Rick and John Baggy. Rick is the president of Central Bank, a great partner of the Cardinals and Fox Sports Midwest. Happy 90th birthday to Janetta.
All right.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Molina was on base 4 times in the ball game last night. Had a walk, 3 hits. Key hit late. Started that, at least helped it going, that 9th inning rally for St. Louis. And the 0-2 pitch. You noticed about contact last night. 2 guys that looked to be with easy swings, putting a premium on putting the ball in play. Carpenter and Molina. And lo and behold, 2 home runs. just easy swings.
It's certainly a valid point with Yachty. Yachty has that right field approach before 2 strikes at this point in his career.
And now he strikes out. And the second of the night for Velasquez.
Vince Velasquez had 10 strikeouts in 4 innings against the Nationals last year, and 2 years ago he struck out 16 Padres in a game in 7 innings. So it's this is not his first rodeo.
They think he's a star in the making. There's Dexter Fowler. Hit on Sunday was the first time he had picked up a base hit off a breaking ball this year. He's been seeing a ton of those. You can understand why. The 1-0 pitch. 2 balls in, no strikes.
We've seen him so many times this year taking strikes with a count 2-0 or 1-0, and those are halcyon at bats. Go to Hacken.
I wonder if there's more of an idea in a change, maybe with a, let's say, a Carpenter or guys that go deep into a count like a Fowler, that look, if you get to 2-0 or 3-1, be aggressive.
Well, if you're not aggressive on those counts, when are you going to be aggressive?
We see it all the time. They're taking it till 3-2.
I know. That's what gives you the advantage as a hitter.
Here it is. 3 balls, 1 strike.
3 balls, 1 strike. It's lunchtime.
Three and two.
See, that's a good swing. Both the 2-0 count and the 3-1 count. Those are situations you look for. What are you going to look for? A breaking ball right here? You look for a fastball right down the pipe. He got it and fouled it back. It's what hitting is, situational hitting.
3-2 pitch, and he draws a walk. So the Cardinals have their first base runner of the night, a 2-out walk to Fowler, and it brings in Jairo Munoz. Munoz has been the primary fill-in for Paul DeYoung, who is with us here in Philly doing some baseball related activities, and he can't get back here soon enough, although Munoz has done an admirable job filling in.
He really has. Surprised a lot of people. We talked about him last night. I mean, that's throwing arm from shortstop. One of the better ones in the National League that we've seen. And Danny talked about it, playing all those outfield positions in spring training.
Caught your attention. 2 outs, and the first pitch to Munoz taken high. Cardinals are hopeful for DeYoung late June, early July. So essentially right before the All-Star break. And a check on Fowler. 3 steals this year for Dexter. Phillies at home after the win last night. They are 23-12. Best home record in the National League. 3rd best in baseball, trailing only the Yankees and Red Sox. For whatever reason, Velasquez's ERA is high here at home, 6.88.
Now that's not unusual, even though the Phillies pitching staff is better this year than last year. 3.41 earned run average here at the bank. See, now you might be thinking at home, well, that was a 2-0 pitch and the pitch was a strike. but it wasn't in the area that Munoz likes the ball. It was a sailing fastball away, a little cutter, had a little ride to it. So it wasn't to his liking. But if he gets it right down the pipe, you live for moments like that as a hitter.
The 2-1 pitch to Munoz. 2-2. Well, you think about a 2-strike approach here for Munoz. Put the ball in play, make something happen, get activity, get movement. The 2-2. May have been fooled by the pitch, but spoiled it.
One of the best jumps Dexter Fowler has had this year from first base. Normally a 2-2 count with 2 outs, not a good pitch on which to run. The reason for that is if the next pitch is a ball you're running anyway. So you don't want to take that little extra chance. You know, baseball's a game of those little extra chances. Some you want to take, others you don't want to take. Like his hands on his knees. Get your hands off your knees, Dexter.
The 2-2 pitch. Taken high.
It's really a fun thing to think about. What if he didn't take his hands off his knees? He would have to go to second base with his hands on his knees. It's like a game children play. You don't put your hands on your knees when you're leading off of first base. I know that sounds simplistic. I know I've talked about it before. There's no reason for it.
And there he goes, and the pitch taken high. Back-to-back walks. One of the big hits for the Cardinals last night, and maybe it can springboard him into some success here, was a 2-out, 2-strike base hit to tie the game, 9th inning. Colton Wong, and he did it against a lefty. Scored Jack Flaherty. He was in as a pinch runner, and a huge hit at the time. A streaky player, to be sure. Sometimes if things happen positively for him early in a game, he has a big game. Maybe last night carries over to game 2. 2 outs and 2 on. And the pitch taken in for a ball. Luke Weaver's at the on-deck circle. One and one. It's sharply to short, taken there by Kingery. Had a little bit of a shift on for Wong, and it played out perfectly for the Phillies. No damage done. Cardinals strand a pair. It's 1-0. The Cardinals, Matt Bowman back to the DL. More on that. Let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, Bowman right back on the DL with blisters on his right middle and index fingers. Bowman was telling me it's more than just the blisters. He says he's dealing with something called Raynaud's phenomenon. Bowman told me essentially it means he's not getting proper blood flow to his right middle and index fingers. Bowman said the blisters are the most immediate manifestation of it. the real underlying issues are pain and numbness. Dan, the next course of treatment for Matt is a specialized injection. As Matt told me, it has a good chance of restoring normal blood flow.
Well, if you don't have the feeling in your fingertips as a pitcher, boy, it's tough to throw a baseball, get a grip, get a feel.
And, you know, Dan, they were having trouble figuring out what was wrong because, as you recall, the weather was so cold at the start of the season. Bowman just thought, well, it was a cold. His fingers were getting numb. Then they discovered through testing that there's an issue with the blood flow.
Interesting. Not as interesting as your weather-related report yesterday in terms of baseballs, but I like it.
Yeah, it wasn't really weather-related, Dan. It was the impact of heat, not necessarily the heat from weather, but what hot temperatures do to a baseball. And as we went over yesterday, Dan, it helps the ball jump off the bat, but only to a certain point, at which point around 80 degrees, the innards of the baseball get soft and it doesn't go as far. Tim McCarver found it fascinating, Dan, but apparently he was the only one.
No, a lot of fans did too. That pitch taken low by Alfaro. Yeah, you were down there with Jimmy down on the field and Paul DeYoung, and you were absolutely fascinated with that story that Jim did.
I was.
Yeah.
I really was, with the heat and the ball.
We were talking about that for the entire ride home back to the team hotel last night.
Well, pardon me for bringing a little science into the equation, Dan.
I still think it was a wonderful interview. I loved it. Very interesting.
And they're going to shut my mic any second now.
Here's a ground ball. Nice play by Carpenter to his left and just in time.
Good play on the pick. Carpenter not in a position to make a strong throw, and I think Kapler is thinking about replaying that from an umpire's standpoint, because they may have thought that Martinez was off the bag, but no replay.
And a strike to Vince Velasquez. So 80 at bats his senior year in high school, a .608 average, and he scored 44 runs. He came in hitting .261 this season, and he grounds out to Colton Wong. .608 the average as a senior in high school.
And he had 18 stolen bases as a senior.
.30 pitches in the first inning, 7 thus far here in inning number 2. Well, with the issues that Bowman had, begs the question of who was or wasn't available last night. Now, you would think that Jordan Hicks probably able to go tonight. Cardinals did use Bud Norris Sunday and again last night. The two lefties were not used, Cecil and Gomber. 2 balls and a strike on J.P. Crawford, hitting .194. Here's a look at Mr. Hicks. John Brebbia behind him. The 2-2. Slapped foul and out of play. Last night was a Game of Thrones night here at the ballpark. Are you a fan?
No.
Well, you need to get into it.
Okay.
All right.
There's so many things I'm watching on television now.
Really? Well, you're watching a lot of baseball. I know that.
Yeah, of course. That's a staple. Like all baseball fans. But the other stuff, I mean, a lot of stuff.
And that's upstairs, and the third walk issued by Luke Weaver. He has had his issues with left-handed batters. His last 11 starts, lefties hitting .319 against him.
Ouch.
And an on-base percentage of .379. So he's got to try to find a way to correct that. First time through the lineup at 3 walks and 1 base hit. That was the base hit by Hoskins to left center. And that pitch is strike. Hernandez a walk back in the first and the only run tonight. Brought in on a ground ball by Carlos Santana for his 39th RBI. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Instead, a check on J.P. Crawford, who has 2 steals over at first. Two balls and 1 strike. Cardinals have dropped 5 of their last 6 games, and the starters' ERA nearly 7 over those 6 games. Hit the other way. Ozuna going back, spun around, and he'll make the catch. Coming up, it'll be Weaver, Carpenter, and Pham. It's 1-0. Luke Weaver is 4 for 21 this year. 190 average, followed by Carpenter and Pham.
Cardinals do not have the ladder to climb tonight that they had to climb last night after giving up 4 runs in the bottom of the first. They pecked away and took the lead for the first time, as you so eloquently said, after the Tommy Pham home run. Took their first lead in the 10th inning, but couldn't hold it in the bottom of the 10th.
Pham now with 11 home runs, and he and Carpenter tied atop the team lead. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The swing and a miss. Strikeout number 3 for Velasquez. Matt Carpenter with home run number 11 last night. He's driven in 27. This one is first of the 11 to go the opposite way. Cardinals had 3 home runs last night. 19-5, the Kubota Power stats when they have multiple home runs in a game this year. It was a late break on a good curveball. Seems like any pitcher you see now that's got a little age in the game has gone through Tommy John surgery. That's the case with Velasquez.
Had it in high school, didn't he?
Had it as an 18-year-old.
2 straight curves for a strike.
Tommy John should be in the Hall of Fame for his wins and the surgery. Philly Fanatic is out in full force, and that's John Kruk, Ben Davis, They are broadcasting down the left field line. And a strikeout of Carpenter. Back-to-back Ks. Missouri Lottery Fox Tracks.
It is not often you see Matt Carpenter take a fastball for a third strike. He'll take breaking balls. Usually if he takes a third strike and it's a fastball, if he questions it, usually it's out of the strike zone. But that one just got the corner.
There's Tommy Pham. I have proposed to the Cardinals and our good friend Dan Farrell that we put you right in the middle of the stands for one of our upcoming telecasts. I'll stay here in the booth and do the game. I need to have a better view, obviously. But you certainly could do the analyst work right in the middle of the stands.
I don't work from the stands. Sorry, Danny.
It's not going to happen,
It's not in my contract.
Just think of the fun you'd have. Tommy Pham with a drive out to deep left, and this game is tied with a long home run.
That might have been as long or longer than last night's. Last night pulled into position in left field, and this one to left center. It disappeared. I didn't see it land. Whew, heavens. Another solo shot by the Cardinals.
Comes on a 1-1 pitch. Tommy Pham now the team leader in homers with 12.
Hang me a curveball, will you? He did, and he did.
You know, Pham really carried the team offensively first month or 5 weeks of the regular season, and he's starting to get hot again.
I'm surprised because both the Chicago Cubs and the Phillies have not pitched him inside like other teams have done.
Good point. It's now a 13-game hitting streak for Pham, and he scored 13 runs in those 13 games.
It's 53 runs scored this year. Now our guy who does such a wonderful job, Dan Hyatt, said that the guy next to Tommy Pham in runs scored is Matt Carpenter, but it's a big descent. Matt Carpenter scored 33 runs compared to Pham's 53 runs, and Matt Carpenter is 40th in that regard. That is a huge drop off. So Tommy Pham, in essence, needs help.
Measured at 414 feet, 105 miles per hour off the bat.
And Danny, that's with the wind blowing in.
Yeah. And a strike. GMC leaderboard. Tommy Pham most runs scored 53 with Ozzie Albies, Charlie Blackmon, and Paul Goldschmidt, who has been red hot for Arizona.
Well, that's a confident smile from Tommy Pham.
And a 2-out walk. So the homer, a walk, and the batter will be Marcell Ozuna. Tommy now with 9 stolen bases to go along with the 12 home runs. And you would think certainly 20-20 within his reach, if not 25-25. Third walk issued by Velasquez. Ozuna drops to a knee for strike one. 0-1 pitch to Ozuna. Popped out his first time up. The home run is for the Cardinals, the only hit for St. Louis. Only hit for the Phillies was a base hit by Hoskins back in the first. Since then, a combined 6 walks and 5 strikeouts.
For the Cardinals in last night's game, their first 2 runs scored, 2 solo home runs, 4 innings apart for Mike Matheny.
The 2-1 pitch to Marcell Ozuna. Hit out of play. Again, a hitter's count, couldn't do anything with it. Hits it out of play. Reminder that it's a day game tomorrow. Michael Wacha and Jake Arrieta. That should be a fun matchup. Pair of righties. Arrieta in his first season with the Phils, and will come your way at 11:30 tomorrow morning with the pregame show.
Then the Cardinals head to Milwaukee for 4.
Big series.
Mm-hmm.
The 2-2 pitch. And a strikeout of Ozuna. 3 strikeouts in the inning, 5 tonight for Velasquez. A solo home run, though, mixed in between off the bat of Tommy Pham, and a no-doubter. Number 12 this year. We're tied 1-1. Tommy Pham with a solo home run, his second in as many nights, and has tied the game up at 1-1. Rhys Hoskins with a base hit his first time up, and a strike delivered by Luke Weaver. You had the chance to visit with Larry Bowa before the game. Never made his high school team, went undrafted, and then part of one of the big deals in Cubs history with Ryne Sandberg.
One of the times he was cut twice from his high school baseball team, once by his father. I think his father's name was Paul, I believe. But Larry made himself into a shortstop that could hit as good on a short hop as anybody, along with another great shortstop in Philadelphia history, Bobby Wine. Excellent throwing arm, could run. I mean, a guy who had over 2,100 hits in his career. I think it was 2,117, something like that. He was a good player. He was a winner.
I mean, if that doesn't inspire somebody that's up and in, to watch a guy at that size, undrafted, and cut from your high school team, and then have the kind of career Larry Bowa did, I'm not sure what would inspire. I mean, that's incredible.
It really is. Where did he grow up? Sacramento, California. A lot of good players came out of Sacramento, including Dusty Baker.
And a strikeout of Hoskins. He thought it was ball 4. The second strikeout for Luke Weaver.
Very unusual for Hoskins away, but that pitch looked like it had a corner. Yep. It's a big league strike. Hoskins is not one that usually argues. Not that that was vociferous or anything, but it was longer than Hoskins stays up at the plate on a pitch like that. Good pitch from Weaver's standpoint. It's a good combination too. Throw inside, strike outside. Remember the
Odubel Herrera. And he hits it out to deep right field, and folks, that's why you don't want to see him bunt. He's now homered in 3 straight. He's up to 11. after bunting in the first inning.
Looked like an off-speed pitch to Herrera. High leg kick timed perfectly as the Phillies retake the lead.
Here's Santana and a good changeup.
Great reaction by Luke Weaver. A look of non-belief.
And a happy fan out there in the seats and right. The Souvenir. Foul back, 0-2.
Luke Weaver trying to find the optimistic part of pitching this year that he had last year. He was 7-2 last year, 3-6 this year, and as you mentioned, Dan has not won a game since May 11th.
Had him out in front, and it's popped up. The shift was on, and so this will be Munoz racing into the infield to make that catch. So it's now a 2-1 game with 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Whole new ball game with RBI Baseball 18. RBI Baseball 18 delivers an all new franchise mode and much more. RBI Baseball is available now. Learn more at RBIGame.com. It's rated E for everyone. Aaron Altair walked back in the first. Prior to that pitch, he had 10 straight first pitch strikes. That's off the mask of Molina. You'll see Yachty actually spin away, understanding that the ball could be fouled back so that he doesn't take the brunt of it. It's by design. Watch his head here. Just a little bit of a turn, just like that. Doesn't take it off the brunt and the top. You know, catchers have, as you know, Tim, they got a feel that of what a pitcher is throwing, where the ball is going, and sometimes a foul ball where it may go. Yachty says he's got a good feel for that, and that's why he turns his head slightly. Strikeout on the inside corner.
Changeup on the inside corner. By design, Weaver livid, understandably.
Fourth. Home run by Herrera has put the Phillies back on top. Here's Yadier Molina, has struck out his first time up, and he looks at strike one.
That's the pitch that Yachty is more apt to pull, that breaking ball, the slow breaking ball. We've seen him done that a number of times down the left field line. Hits the fastball to right, the breaking ball down the left field line. Or he's more of a pull hitter on that pitch.
0-2. We'll see if Molina, day game after night game, is in there tomorrow, especially with a big series coming up with Milwaukee. He never wants out of the lineup, you know that. Couple of hops hit to short, taken by Kingery, and that's the first out. Well, we've got a Tsunami bobblehead coming up, and you can also see the Tsunami bobblehead in the Ford Plaza life-sized version. Carlos Martinez, the mystery hair bobblehead. Cardinals.com/promotions. It's courtesy of AT&T on June 30th. That's a Saturday. Here's Dexter Fowler. One out and nobody on. Walked his first time up. Strike one. You know, Mike Matheny is in a tough spot, you know, in many ways. And some may say, no, it's not tough at all. But the money and a part of the equation here with Fowler, he's owed a bunch of money, year two of a 5-year deal. He's not hitting against left-handed pitching, so you're really forced to give him his starts when he starts against righties. You sit Bader, who's been an exciting player. So is it a tough decision or not? I think it's more complicated than maybe people.
Well, it's backloaded, right?
It's backloaded.
Backloaded, meaning that most of the payments coming the next 3 years, I believe, after this year. Something to the tune of $65 million. So, you know, your point is well taken. Making that kind of money, how can you sit him? Well, you can sit him when he hits 170. What are you going to do?
And you'd love to try to get him right, but
yeah. Well, it's late June.
That's the point. You got to win games.
It's almost 3 months after opening day.
Here's Munoz and the 1-0 pitch. Get out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike.
If the Cardinals had that luxury of having all the other players, all the other position players going exceptionally well, it would be an easier problem for Matheny. You know, because then he could count on everybody else of picking Fowler up. But that's not the case in the Cardinal lineup. The other guys are not struggling like Fowler, but some are struggling. Guys like Colton Wong.
Or do you think probably Mike is hearing it from Dexter and saying, hey, if you want to get me right, the best way to do it is I got to play. And Mike is saying, I get that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to win games too.
Right. I mean, there's a manager in the major leagues who has an understanding of why he's not playing a player. It's Mike Matheny not playing Dexter Fowler.
The 2-1 pitch now to Munoz. 2-2.
And Munoz certainly acted like that ball was inside. I don't know if it was, but it sure looked like it.
And there's a base hit into right field for Munoz. It's a good piece of hitting with 2 strikes.
Well, you might ask yourself, I was going to say, what is a good approach with 2 strikes? It's using all parts of the field. It's bringing the outside corner closer to you as a hitter. Don't look for it inside. That, I might add, is the best time to jam a hitter with 2 strikes. That is nifty hitting by Munoz. Game is down to a crawl now with both pitchers, not struggling a lot, but enough to slow things down.
Runner goes at Munoz and out.
Strong throw from Alfaro.
So Munoz caught stealing after his base hit into right midway through 4, and it's 2-1. In game 1 of this series. More on that. Let's check in with Jim.
Yeah, you're right, Dan. 2 scoreless innings. He struck out 3. His fastball made him look like a different pitcher. In Mike's first 17 appearances this season, threw a total of 11 pitches at 97 miles per hour or above. Last night in 2 innings, he threw 18 pitches at 97 or better. 18. Myers told me it was by design. He said, I went back and watched some mechanical things I was doing that hurt my velocity. I just wanted to get back to the mentality of going right after guys like I did in spring training. And Dan, Mike Matheny told me Myers looked like a guy who looked over his shoulder and saw Greg Holland ready to come off the DL. He wanted to show us he should stay.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit off the air, because you don't like to speculate who's going up, who's going down. I mean, it's just things happen, injuries happen, and that's what happened last night with Bowman. But certainly you wondered if it was his way of saying, hey, if I'm going out with my best stuff.
I don't know that this was the case with Mike, but often when you're not getting the velocity, when you're lacking 3 or 4 miles an hour on your velocity, you're trying too hard. You're trying to throw the ball too hard, much like a hitter that opens that front shoulder when he's trying to hit the ball too hard. The shoulder opens up as the arm comes forward. The shoulder doesn't open up before the arm comes forward.
And a base hit into right. Fowler keeps it in front as he slips out there in right. And Kingery's 1 for 2. You know, Tim, it was 70 years ago today. Cardinals owner, the chairman, Bill DeWitt, was in a Browns uniform. And there he is with Babe Ruth. 70 years ago today. Look at that reaction from a young Bill DeWitt. Behind him, we think, we're not sure, World War I veterans, maybe even predated World War I. But amazing photo 70 years ago today. And I talked to Cardinals president Bill DeWitt III, and pretty amazing story behind it, as his dad in that photograph was 6. There's a couple other versions of that photo, but they really enjoy that one. And it was in 1948. Babe Ruth was essentially taking a final victory lap, if you will. He would pass away in the fall, but he was sponsored, they believe, by a car company to go to American League ballparks and say goodbye to the fans one more time. And photos were taken. He would go to the mic, very raspy voice. He said a few words, and then he would take photos in particular with the kids. And obviously Bill DeWitt, who is part of the Browns, his son, Bill DeWitt II, is there and had the chance to meet and have that historic photo with Babe Ruth 70 years ago today.
The Babe looking dapper in those two-tone shoes, huh?
I love there's two things that stood out when I saw the photo. That's one of them. Just how well dressed he is.
Yes.
And then the look of Bill DeWitt as a young boy.
What a great look.
In awe of the Babe.
Yeah, that look said it all.
That's under the glove of Martinez and into right field. Folks that don't know, Bill DeWitt was recommended by a concessionaire. He was selling peanuts and popcorn and Cracker Jack at the ballpark. And Branch Rickey asked the head concessionaire, is there anybody we can bring into the office? And that was Bill DeWitt, and the rest is history. The ball under the glove of Martinez for the base hit into right. So back-to-back singles, and now Velasquez.
A lot of teams would bunt here to bunt the runner from first to second. He's too good a hitter for that.
There's strike one.
And third base coach Dusty Wathan, who is the son of John Wathan, former Major League catcher, talked about him last night. He's going over to Scott Kingery and telling Kingery about the possibility of a safety squeeze, I would think. It is.
And it is rolling foul as it got under the glove of Martinez. And I wonder if it hit his glove.
Oh my gosh. The ball hit his glove. It's a fair ball. He didn't retrieve it. But you know, all he had to do was catch the ball. If he catches the ball, he has an out, and Velasquez, who's right in front of him. Kingery coming down the line wasn't breaking because it was a safety squeeze. It did not hit his glove. But Martinez had a chance to make the play right there. You tag the pitcher. I have no idea what Jose was thinking then.
Clearly, you could see he looked up at Velasquez and then took his eye off the ball, went right under his glove. And now an 0-2 pitch. Velasquez squaring to bunt again. This time gets it down. Weaver looks back the runner at third. Runner at first advances to second, and that's the first out. June 29, 30,000 fans 16 and older get a fashion boost when they take home a one-of-a-kind Cardinals all over print shirt, courtesy of Shane Company. That's tickets to the June 29th Cardinals Braves game at cardinals.com/promotions. Infield in for J.P. Crawford.
And not every manager would do this. You got the infield in, you're down by a run. But I think you almost have to do it if you're Mike Matheny, because the Cardinals are not scoring that many runs. And when you're not scoring, one run can be enormous. So that's why Mike is bringing the infield in this situation. Only the fourth inning. If, on the other hand, you're the Phillies and you get a ground ball to an infielder, send the runner from third. You take a chance. The worst that can happen is to end up with runners on first and third and 2 out. But you've taken a chance to score.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Crawford.
Now the middle infielders are back. Gyro was on the grass for the first pitch, and so was Wong. Now Wong has moved back. It's not double play depth because there's nobody on at first. I don't understand. This is unusual.
And he is hit by the pitch. The question would be, did he offer at it?
No, I don't think so.
That's Eric Cooper, the third base umpire. They're going to look at Crawford, and the bases will be loaded.
I think that's the best gauge for an umpire, because nobody can react that quickly. You can't say, well, the ball hit me when it didn't. Nobody's that good an actor. Yeah, that hit his top hand, it looked like. Very dangerous situation for major league hitters. Instead of his right hand, hit his left hand.
And this becomes a very key spot in the game. They'll continue to look at Crawford hit by the pitch, the medical team, and Gabe Kapler, and Mike Maddox out to visit with Luke Weaver with the bases loaded now. In the top of the lineup in Cesar Hernandez.
He's one of the better situational hitters on the Phillies.
And he has grounded into 6 double plays. I have to think those would be hard hit balls with his speed. Crawford was on the disabled list earlier this year with a right forearm strain, and now hit by the pitch.
Cardinals have to play double play depth here. Even though Hernandez is a poor double play candidate.
So Hernandez walked and scored in the first. He flied out to left. 0 for 1 tonight. Phillies now with 4 base hits, the Cardinals with 2. And a 2-1 score here in the bottom of the 4th. And ball 1. Inning started with a base hit by Kingery. Alfaro base hit to right. Velasquez put the bunt down to bring up second and third, one out. Crawford hit by the pitch. Two and 0.
Talk about an ideal hitting situation for Hernandez. 2-0, bases loaded.
They're starting to stretch now in the Cardinals pen. No one up and throwing yet. And the 2-0 pitch by Weaver. 3-0.
Luke Weaver clearly led up to throw that 90-mile-an-hour fastball. That's why when you fall behind an experienced hitter like Hernandez, you have to throw strikes, sometimes at the expense of velocity.
And he walks in a run. Fourth walk for Luke Weaver. Nobody up and throwing yet. This could turn quickly for Weaver. Get a double play, that's one way. Could go quickly the other way. One out, bases loaded. High fly ball into shallow left. Munoz now calling for it. The ball comes in a bit. Ozuna was racing in, and that was an infield fly. Was ruled infield fly. Many Cardinal fans remember the playoffs against the Atlanta Braves.
I was thinking the same thing, Danny.
Went the St. Louis way.
Oh, man.
And here's Herrera, solo home run back in the third. Weaver one out away from getting out of the jam and really limiting the damage here.
You remember it was Hoskins last night in the fourth inning. And here we are in the fourth inning. Hoskins with runners on second and third and one out. Could have put the game out of reach. He popped up to left center field. Cardinals got out of it without a run being scored. Came back and took the lead in the 10th, even though the bullpen gave it up in the bottom of the 10th.
So the base is loaded for Herrera. 1 for 2 on the night. And ball one.
Falling behind again with the changeup.
One and one.
Ooh and ahs from the fans here at Citizens Bank Park.
Weaver's spot due up second for the Cardinals as we're only here in the bottom of the fourth. John Brebbia getting loose in the Cardinals pen.
And breaking ball misses outside.
You know, Jim had the report with Mike Myers talking about going back to what he did in spring training, attacking the zone. The same thing with Luke Weaver. I mean, Luke Weaver attacked the strike zone in spring training, early portion of the season. Not seeing that right now. Pulled foul. 2-2.
3 out of 4 pitches Change-ups. Now, pitchers become defensive just like hitters. Hitters up there not taking their normal swings, and pitchers not making their normal pitches. Key out for Weaver right here, no question.
The 2-2 inside corner, and he struck him out. Fourth strikeout of the night, and a big one of Herrera. For the Phillies, Michael Franco is at third base. He'll take over after young man was hit by the pitch, J.P. Crawford, so he's out of the game, and Franco takes over at third.
Now you got to say, a good job by Luke Weaver getting Hoskins on the pop-up, the infield fly rule in effect, and then the call third strike of all things to Herrera, because Herrera looked locked in to me.
He's homered in 3 straight games.
Yeah, including tonight.
Here's Colton Wong. They had the shortstop Kingery first time up, playing towards the middle, and right by second base, Wong stung one right at him, and he's 0 for 1. Well, the Brewers had a little fun heading to Pittsburgh. They dedicated their flight to your former roommate, Bob Uecker.
Oh, they did.
Yeah. On the way to Pittsburgh, it was a themed dress up, and they all honored Bob Uecker. Here it is. Oh. There's Ueck. They had shirts made up, the sport coats they thought were kind of from the Tonight Show era that he was on. And,
oh, yeah.
And they had a lot of fun. It's good stuff. What was it like rooming with Bob Uecker, of all people? And Wong hits a high, towering fly ball out to deep right field, and it is gone. Colton Wong with his 5th home run of the year. The second solo home run for the Cardinals tonight, and it's now 3-2. And the 5th home run in this series.
I couldn't answer that cute question with a cute answer, but it was different rooming with you. I'll just leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Well, Colton Wong had the key base hit in the 9th inning last night, and then this high, towering shot into the seats in right.
Got him a fastball. And here's Weaver. Just think about 3 hitters ago. The 2 hitters for the Phillies, Hoskins and Herrera, and now Wong. Instead of it being a 5-1 or 6-1 game, it's a 3-2 game. How things can turn.
And Weaver sends this out to deep center. Herrera over and tracks it down. Almost overran it.
What a route that was.
He was playing way into right center.
It's easier to bunt to third with runners on in first and second and nobody out than it is to take a route like this. Watch. Whoa. Take a left.
Fine play nonetheless.
Get your kicks on Route 66.
Man, he was out towards the fence, then a left, then come in. But the bottom line is he made the play. Here's Carpenter. He's grounded out to second in the shift and also struck out. Really find it interesting, some of the schools of thought, what people think about the shift. And there's been talk, do you put limitations on what you can do at the shift? Now, we've mentioned that before.
Certainly talked about it.
I thought John Mozeliak, he had a pretty blunt assessment of it. He said sometimes you got to say, just hit it where they ain't. Make the adjustment.
Well, that's right.
He had talked to Scott Rowland about that when Rowland was back in St. Louis recently and had a promotion at the ballpark, and these, those two started talking about the shift. And
what was Rowland's take on it?
Figure it out, adjust. That's what he felt like. The 2-1 hammered out to right, but a sinking liner, and it's caught by Altair. It's turned out to be a gorgeous day and night here in Philly. Along with Tim McCarver, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and Jim Hayes is with us as well. Ashburn Alley. I'm sure when you come to Philly that Tim McCarter is flooded with so many memories coming through here as a Cardinal, and playing so many years with the Phillies and broadcasting here.
He was the greatest sports figure in this city's history.
Ashburn?
He was, yes. His body was in state when he died. His body was in state for 3 days. 3 days.
Wow.
Beautiful ceremony. I remember it well. He died in New York at age 70. He was an announcer for the Phillies and absolutely beloved in this city.
It's the broadcast booth, the radio side for the Phillies.
Talk about the city of brotherly love. Pouring it in for Whitey.
A strikeout of Pham. Solo home run hit by Colton Wong. That's his 5th of the year. Cuts a lead with 3-2. It'll be Santana, Altair, and Kingery coming up. It's Luke Weaver. Struck out Herrera with the bases loaded. Got Kingery, Hoskins, to pop out with 1 out and the bases loaded, and gave up just 1 run last inning. That was a bases loaded walk.
Now, fresh life for Luke. He's got another run to work with. Say to work with because that's all you got. 3-2, trailing by a run, but getting out of a massive jam with the middle of the order coming up in that 4th inning. Giving up only 1 run.
Well, 1964, one of the great comebacks ever. 12 games left, 6.5 game lead, I guess, for the Phils. And Gene Mauch pushed Chris Short, Jim Bunning, 3 days rest, 2 days rest. Caught up with him, didn't it?
A lot was made of that, but he had nobody else to which to turn. Dennis Bennett with a sore arm. Jack Balsham had a sore arm that year. And also when Gene went out, Gene told me in 1973, I beg your pardon, 72, I was traded to Montreal and played for Gene Mauch, the manager of the Phillies back in 64. He said that when he went out to take the ball from a pitcher, other than Bunning and Short, you could see the fear in their eyes. First time I'd ever heard that expression.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. And Santana hits it a ton into right, and it's gone. His 11th home run and his 2nd driven in tonight.
You get those fastballs up, and that's where hitters make a lot of money. Then and now, hit a ton to right center field.
Aaron Altair will be the batter. He has struck out and walked tonight. And a 4-2 Phillies lead. The ground ball slowly hit up the third base line. Carpenter bare hands, not in time, and an infield hit. So Santana is homered, and Herrera is homered tonight for the Phils.
Funny game, isn't it? One guy hits it 385 feet. to score a run in right center field. The following guy hits it 45 feet down the third baseline and gets on first.
The Phillies have scored now in every inning tonight with the exception of the second. And John Brevy is up for the second time. There's Kingery, who's 1 for 2. Single back in the fourth inning and scored on the bases loaded walk. Well, the Phillies right now just hanging tough in the National League East. Now 6 games above 500. It's a 31 game turnaround from this time last year. Tied with Washington 3.5 games back.
All sorts of things going wrong with Luke Weaver. The balls are up, they're flat, no pop at the end. The struggle continues.
Pitch number 95 upcoming. Could be 2. Could be none. Ninth there on Munoz.
Yeah, a high chopper like that. Doubtful they would have gotten 2. Kingery runs too well. Certainly you got to get 1. Munoz trying to do that. Then as you stated appropriately, then there were none.
Home run, a single, an error, and trouble. Here's Alfaro, but you do have the pitcher on deck, and then Maikel Franco. Alfaro is 1 for 2 tonight, base hit into right, also grounded to third. And it's popped up, foul territory. Martinez with the catch. Big out. A reminder that Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by St. Louis Children's Hospital and Washington University Physicians, guardians of childhood.
We talked about this last night, Dan. Excuse me. I'll let you finish that. Pardon me?
I'm going to set it up and give them a lot of bang for their buck. You ready?
Oh, good. I apologize.
And by Toyota. Let's go places.
All right.
Boom.
Sorry, partner.
Needed to add more oomph to it anyway.
I was talking about the oomph of Luke Weaver, that inside fastball. It's the one thing Luke has not done, is pitched inside. I think more Cardinal pitchers ought to be doing that inside for strikes, not to hit guys. But you got to get that inside strike. Make them aware of the inside part of the plate.
Out of play. Velasquez is grounded out to second. Also a sacrifice. 0-2 the count. Franco on deck. And that could be 2. Munoz steps on the bag and a double play. So again, Weaver pitching out of trouble. Home run hit by Santana, and it's 4-2. Phillies trying to make it 2 wins in a row. They have a lead over St. Louis. Take the first 2 in this series against the Cardinals. Martinez, Ozuna, Molina coming up. So Velasquez just finishing, getting warmed up for the inning. Made the final out, ground out the double play. I would imagine that would be it for Luke Weaver. We'll see.
Now the key thing, Cardinals need to score more runs. You got to score runs in bunches in this league, in any league. mean, when's the last time the Cardinals had that first to third merry-go-round with nobody out or one out? Mike Maddox trying to accentuate the positive.
Oh, 1 pitch to Martinez. He struck out and walked. Mike, if you're around him a little bit, you do understand, really a positive guy.
Yes, he is.
It's important in a
great
game
sense
that,
of humor.
You know, has failure. It's a game of failure.
But you're playing a team where it's the game of failure also for them. You hope they fail more than you do.
That's really what it comes down to. Tough game. And that is spoiled. So it looks like another night in which the Cardinals starter will not go deep. And you know, it can happen here or there, but if it happens on a nightly basis or say 5 out of 7 days in a week, you're in trouble in the long haul of the season.
Oh yeah, you just rupture your bullpen.
And the 1-2 pitch popped up. Santana, Alfaro out of play. Cardinals tonight, 3 hits. If you just joined us, 2 of the 3 solo home runs. 12 for Pham and number 5 for Colton Wong. Popped up. Hernandez. First out here in the 6th. Phillips 66 ticket vouchers. They're back and they are better than ever. Philip at Phillips 66, 8 gallons or more. And you can get a voucher for up to 50% off on up to 8 tickets to a Cardinals home game. For more information, visit cardinals.com/Phillips 66. There's Marcell Ozuna over 2 tonight. Strike 1.
Velasquez is just chewing Ozuna up. He fouled out to the first baseman his first time up, struck out his second time up, and then that last swing jammed.
Hit to third. Franco. 2 down. So Franco before the game, we get here early and he was out working, doing some extra work defensively, where actually a coach was basically in the edge of the grass and the third basemen were back and they were hitting hard ground balls and just reactionary type plays at third base in the hot corner. Made a dazzling play last night. With 2 outs and nobody on, it's Yadier Molina. And a strike.
Almost seems like Velasquez has got gotten a second wind out there He's throwing harder now than he did in the early innings.
And a curveball in the dirt. Here's a 1-1. And Molina hits a fly ball out to left. Hoskins makes the catch in a 1-2-3 inning. John Brebbia is our call to the pen, our Chevy call to the pen, and this will be his 21st appearance. 1 day of rest and back in there. So.
And also his 71st appearance, right, Danny? Because he won his first game in his major league career on Sunday against the Cubs. Real congratulations to John, one of the really good guys around the Cardinals. There are a bunch of them, but he's among them.
He's a very inquisitive sort.
Yes, he is.
Which I enjoy. Random times you'll be walking by John and say, Dan, I have a question. And you don't normally get that from one of the players.
No, they're busy, and we try not to.
Don't want to bug them too much.
No.
Bad hop, and Munoz still fires to first, but Franco is aboard.
Yeah, that was an interesting play by Munoz. Munoz saying, well, if he doesn't run, you know, I might try to get it. Not really bad thinking on Munoz's part, because Franco doesn't run that hard. He sees the ball going off of Carpenter's glove. Could be a base hit. That was a wicked hop.
We have not ruled it one way or another yet.
I thought it was a hit.
I would agree with that bad hop, and it is ruled a base hit. So Franco aboard. Here's Hernandez with a pair of walks, one of those with the bases loaded. So Luke Weaver, 99 pitches tonight, 5 innings, 4 runs on 6 hits, struck out 4, walked 4, and gave up a pair of homers. Top of the lineup, Hernandez, Hoskins to follow. Last 10 appearances, John Brebbia has been sensational. Upstairs.
John's been up with every pitch. The one to Franco and 2 in a row to Hernandez.
Basically, Brebbia has been pitching every other day, and there's a strike.
That's some nasty 2-0 pitch, wasn't it? Slider in on the hands. Hernandez couldn't hold up.
Lined into center, but right at Tommy Pham with the catch. Let's check in with Jim Hayes. Jimmy.
Dan, as you know, Miles Michaelis had one of the most glorious mustaches in all of baseball today. Sadly, it's gone. Michaelis shaved it off. He told me, quote, "It didn't have the magic I was looking for." He told me it was a little emotional as the whiskers hit the sink basin. He said, "One tear rolled down my cheek. Then it was time to move on." Dan, Miles says he's toying with the idea of growing out a beard, but that mustache got quite a bit of attention.
You can understand how emotional a man would get over something like that.
Yeah.
Makes all the sense in the world. There's a high fly ball, left field. Ozuna will make the catch, comes running in a position to throw, and Franco back to the bag at first. And Hoskins is 1 for 4. There it is last night.
Giving up 4 in the first will do that.
It sure will.
Yeah.
Different looking guy. It's kind of like when you saw John Brebbia arrive at spring training without the beard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some guys are like, wait a minute, who is that guy over there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Brebbia. Hey, John. Looked like a different guy.
Most players nowadays with different forms of hirsuteness.
I bet you were a big chops guy.
I was back in the late 60s.
Mm-hmm. I've seen some of those cards.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you were teaching others how to boogie, as you like to tell me.
It's true with Diana Ross. Not with Diana Ross, but to Diana Ross while her music was playing.
You were dancing between innings.
I was to Diana Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Old habits died hard, pal.
This is usually when you tell me that. Did I ever tell you about the time I ran into Diana Ross? Anyway.
No, I did not. I've never told you that because I've never met Diana Ross. I've seen her in person. Saw her in a clothing store in Las Vegas.
What year?
Oh, it was the late 60s, early 70s, something like that.
Usually with your stories, and I check you sometimes, you'll say back in 1973. No, check that 72 because I was still here, and this guy was here, so yeah, definitely 72.
Well,
this is what I mean. You're amazing.
I'm not amazing.
You
I'm
are
trying
amazing
to
on
be
your stories.
exact. I'm trying to be exact. Come on.
Hey, I'm complimenting you.
Well, I don't know whether that's a compliment or not.
It sure is.
Is it?
I'm talking to you right now. Now you're getting emotional.
I'm tearing up. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what, Jimmy gets to the bottom of everything. Oh, here it is. Your 1975 Topps card. Those chops, man.
With the Boston Red Sox.
Yep.
I got a quarter of a share that year. When the Red Sox went to win the American League pennant and then lost to the Cincinnati Reds in one of the great World Series games ever played.
Game 6.
Game
Carlton
6.
Fisk.
Yeah. Pudge trying to wish it fair, and it worked. Carlton Fisk's nickname was Pudge.
Man, the Red Sox so close that year, then again in '86. The Mets and the ball that goes through Buckner's legs, and then eventually defeating St. Louis in a sweep down 3-0 to the Yankees, and then Billy Miller with one of the most famous hits in Boston Red Sox history. Assistant hitting coach of the Cardinals against Mariano Rivera. Fly ball that'll carry to Pham, and the catch is made. So Brebbia scoreless 6th. Fowler, Munoz, and Wong coming up. Well, here we go. It's now the top of the 7th, and it's 4-2. Dexter Fowler, Jairo Munoz, Colton Wong for the Cardinals. Dexter 0 for 1 with a strikeout and a walk. And The first pitch is strike. Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri.
They did that last night.
They sure did.
Yeah.
Cardinals, we've talked about it, all the strikeouts in game one. They have 7 tonight. 2 solo home runs, and they've walked 3 times. And the 0-2 pitch.
Cardinals swinging and missing almost 25% of the time this year.
Little low. But that is the trend in baseball. We've mentioned it a bunch. Teams are striking out at a very high rate. A lot of home runs. The 2-2 pitch. And another strikeout. Here's a graphic that we had in the open. I know you wanted to follow up on it, though. Following the trend, the Cardinals.
It is not pretty. Percentage of balls put in play, 17.2%. Major League average is 17.4. The problem is both of those numbers for the Cardinals, the 24.7 and the 17.2, the worst in team history. What?
And Munoz with a base hit out to left. Wide turnaround first, he'll stop there. Yeah, the numbers have been just kind of out of whack, I think, across the board in baseball.
They have. I agree. Yeah, the Cardinals are not the only team and organization surrendering to that plate.
Well, here we go again, where the tying run comes to the plate in a game that you feel, the starter of the Phillies is still in, and the Phillies have had a lot of opportunities to add to a lead. They haven't done it. It's late in the game, and a tying run at the plate for the Cardinals.
With the left-hander warming up in the bullpen. I think it's Austin Davis. Adam Morgan came in the game in the 10th inning last night.
9th time that Wong has been hit by a pitch, and that leads the club.
Looked like it hit Colton in the small of the back. So now Greg Garcia has been announced, and here comes Gabe Kapler. I think he's been announced. If he wasn't, this could be a little too quick, perhaps, yanking the right-hander. We'll see.
So that'll be it for Vince Velasquez. Tommy Hunter coming in with runners at first and second. In the top of the 7th. Some intrigue when we come back. It's Tommy Hunter and our Chevy call to the pen.
We talked about it before. Was he announced? Greg Garcia was announced. And so Gabe Kapler did not go out there too quickly to yank his right-hander. Had he not been announced, however, Kapler would have yanked him, and Mike Matheny would have been able to save Greg Garcia. That's the point. Garcia hitting anyway against the right-hander.
Runners at first and second. And an 0-1 pitch. I talked to Bob the other day, and I asked him if he had written his speech yet going into the Hall of Fame. He said he had not, and then he went into, I'd say a 3 to 4 minute eloquent answer of what the speech might be. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, Bob is one of the great orators of our day, not only in sports, but in any field, world politics, you name it. He's a brilliant guy and has had just a remarkable career.
host of 12 Olympics, the late night show later, Costas Coast to Coast, the NBA Finals. You name it, he's probably done it. First arrived on the scene in St. Louis, Jack Buck said, "I've got ties older than you, son." What a talent. 2-2 the count. But baseball really is his love.
Oh, yeah. Last weekend in July.
Inside, and now a full count. You don't see a lot of wild swings out of the zone. You'll get it occasionally, but not often from Greg Garcia.
No, you don't. Always doing something, either walking on an error, little flare last night as a pinch hitter.
And he does that too. Fight off a pitch.
And because of that, with a guy like Garcia, you'd think that Mike Matheny would put runners in motion on a 3-2 count, but he does not do that. We've talked about it. He's done it a little more this year, but that is not his forte.
Ouch. You could hear that. That's off his foot or his shin, and he hit the deck.
Right off the top of the right foot. Those things always hurt, but are rarely serious.
Three and two the count. Greg Garcia at the plate. Wong and Munoz, good speed on the bases for the Cardinals. Now time called.
Shaken off by Hunter, whatever it is. Some pitchers like to do that with their gloves. Catcher would give a sign like a fastball, and a pitcher would rub once, and that would add to the one and be a curveball that he wants to throw. Still shaking it off. He's ready now.
Garcia slaps it the other way. That'll carry out to Hoskins for the out. Arcia drive to success. The numbers for Matt Carpenter against the Phillies coming into play tonight. He is 0 for 3 with a ground out, a line out, and a strikeout. But pretty good numbers on the year. What's interesting here, that's Arcia drive to success. You got two lefties, but he's going to stick with Tommy Hunter in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, if you bring Hunter in to pitch to Garcia, you're going to leave him in to pitch to Carpenter. I would think that was what Kapler's thinking was.
So 2 outs and 2 on. That pitch up and into Carpenter. Tommy Pham on deck. He has hit in 11 straight road games coming into play, and that dates back to the series in Minnesota when he started to really turn things around. And the 1-0. Carpenter drives it in the gap in right center. Off to the races. Munoz scores. Here comes Wong. We've got a tie game thanks to Matt Carpenter.
Bit surprised Herrera, the center fielder, wasn't over more into right center field, but he elected to play Carpenter about straight away. And Carpenter just carves out the gap in right center field. Couldn't have done it any better right there. And if there weren't 2 outs, he would have been on third with the 4th triple of the Cardinals this year. Think about that. They have 3 triples here, and June's almost over.
Up the middle, kept on the infield in a heads-up play by Kingery. Then to throw back and try to get Carpenter, but that saves a run.
That is a heady play by the young Kingery. Man on second, 2 outs. The infielders play a step deeper anyway. But Kingery not only makes the play, trying to get Carpenter around third base. Jose Oquendo saying, no, 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 I did that many, many times as a shortstop. Don't round the bag. And he didn't. Jose almost trying to catch Carpenter.
If he did that, he's out.
That's right.
Runners at first and third, and now Jose Martinez. 2 on, 2 outs. I know what you're saying about Hunter facing Garcia, and hey, if he's a lefty, he's going to face another lefty, but you got 2 out there. I don't know. I mean, to me, Carpenter's such a dangerous guy. Game on the line. I mean, you got to think about a lefty there.
Well, yeah. I mean, Kapler has more confidence in Hunter as a.
That's driven out to left center. That ball is down. Martinez delivers. Carpenter scores. Here comes Pham, and the Cardinals have the lead. It's now 6-4.
That's why Gabe Kapler is being booed right now. These fans thinking right along with you, Dan. Tommy Hunter, a lot more of a veteran than the left-hander. Austin Davis, who has not won a major league game in his career, just called up.
4 runs in this inning, all coming with 2 outs.
John Brebbia with the chance now to win his 2nd major league game in 3 days.
And what did you tell him the other day?
And not, what do you mean?
You went to him and you said, hey, congratulations.
I said, congratulations.
And now they're going to come in bunches.
Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah, I forgot that. Thanks for reminding me what I told you. I did say that. I said, now they're coming bunches. He said, yeah, maybe. Well, first appearance since then. Who knows?
Might happen.
Yeah.
They come in bunches.
It happen, as
Wait a minute.
Judy Tenuta used to say. It could happen.
Wait a minute. What did I tell him? Oh, yeah, I told you.
Sometimes things don't click immediately.
And here's Marcell Ozuna. Ozuna is 0 for 3. He's popped out, grounded out, and struck out. So the Cardinals strike against Tommy Hunter after Velasquez lifted.
All runs coming with 2 outs.
That's it out of play. Well, Greg Holland had been throwing. Now, when he got up, the Cardinals were down by 2. Now you're up by 2. They have been looking for anybody to step up, get them to the potential of Hicks and maybe Norris. Norris could be off limits tonight. And a strikeout of Marcell Ozuna, and some boos here in Philly, thanks to the Cardinals with 4 runs scoring with 2 outs. Carpenter a key double along with Jose Martinez. Carpenter tied it up. Martinez put him on top. Time to stretch. pitcher Greg Holland back in the big leagues, activated from the DL. Right hip impingement. Back in today. Missed 22 games. He's been out since May 26th. And he comes in with a 2-run lead. A Chevy call to the pen. It's been an ugly start, obviously, to his season. And we'll see what he's got tonight. Jed Jerko into the ball game. He'll take over at third. Matt Carpenter will shift from third to first.
Greg Holland, understanding that from a baseball standpoint, it's what have you done for me lately, and trying to patch together a good second half after a miserable first 3 months with the Cardinals. First step.
And a strike to Carlos Santana. He's driven in 2 tonight, which includes a solo home run.
Most Cardinal fans will tell you Greg Holland, a guy with 42 saves before in his major league career. I mean, he's a quality pitcher.
You bet.
Was with Kansas City.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Well, Jim Hayes joins us, and Jimmy, you had the chance to visit with Greg Holland, who's back in the big leagues. What stood out on your pregame visit with him?
Well, he's obviously very much looking for a reset, starting over. He said he's aware that the numbers during his rehab outings were not good, but he talked about process versus results. He was more concerned in his rehab outings getting his delivery down, getting his mechanics straightened out, and then making it repeatable. He said he got a feel for his slider, which is something he hadn't had before. So he feels like he's in a good spot right now, Dan, to turn the page.
And the Cardinals need him to.
Whew.
You know, on the game with Ricky last week, we talked about impact guys heading towards the break and then after the break. And we both mentioned if you can get him back to form, I mean, you've got a weapon coming out of the pen.
You've got a double weapon in Norris and Holland, coupled with Jordan Hicks, or I should say tripled with Jordan Hicks, and the three of them could pose some problems for the enemy. No question about that.
And a ground ball that's hit to the right side. The shift was on, and that's Jerko, the third baseman. By the way, how do you write that in your scorecard? That's the third baseman on the right side. I put 5-3, and then I make a little notation with the shift.
It is 5-3.
Right.
Well, the official scorebook says it's 5-3. The official score does. So,
yeah, well, I don't worry about him. I worry about me, and I worry about you, baby. So I put down shift. So when we're in the 14th and Santana comes up, I know that he grounded out in the 7th in the shift.
I, on the other hand, are a stickler for convention.
Is that right?
That's why it was a 5-3. 5-3.
Well, look right here.
It was
5-3.
Yes.
With the shift. I tell you.
Awfully testy with me tonight.
Just getting you going. That's what I like. Here's Aaron Altair.
That's one of the problems, though, with Holland's style of pitching. He's a guy who steps one way to left-handed batters. At least I've seen that with him, and he throws that fastball away, but it looks like looks like he's not coming with you. If you're a left-handed hitter, you think the ball's going to be inside with that delivery, and it's outside. It's a very effective pitch, and one of the reasons he had 42 saves with Kansas City recently.
One ball, 2 strikes. Altera has walked and also an infield hit. That's hit a ton, but yanked foul. ball was hit a long way.
Yes, it was.
Just a routine 411-foot foul ball. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Boy, that was a nasty slider right there from Greg Holland. So far, so good. 2 in a row. Retired by Holland. His velocity's there tonight, too.
There's Scott Kingery and a strike. Ooh, that is nasty right there, too.
Yeah, that's a good curveball. I'm not sure. I haven't seen Greg pitch enough to distinguish between the curve and the slider, but that was a curve more than a slider.
The check swing, and he went. A strikeout for Greg Holland. And a 1-2-3 inning with 2 Ks in his return. Maybe, just maybe, the start of something good for number 56. Our BJC Healthcare difference maker, Jairo Munoz, who's been on base every time tonight. This is how it unfolded for the Cardinals. Wong then hit by a pitch. Matt Carpenter with 2 outs. This double that would score 2. And then Jose Martinez came up, and he would drive in a couple with 2 runners on. So big inning for the Cardinals, and there's Jose Martinez and the BJC Healthcare difference maker. New shortstop is Valentin, and Yaxel Rios is the new pitcher. And strike 1 on Yadier Molina. You know, we thought that pitch was a curveball, Tim, from Holland. What he actually will do is it's a slider. He'll call it a slider. Now, it may have the look of a curveball, but he changes with velocity to give it more depth. And so that's what you're seeing from Greg Holland on those pitches. But it is interesting. He really changed speeds well, controlled the strike zone, got the outs. That was just his 4th 1-2-3 inning of the year. Cardinals will take it. And a ground ball that's hit up the middle. Valentin gets up. Wow, what a play. Robs Yadier Molina. That's a dandy there.
Well, that's a big league play by Valentin. My gosh. That's the second defensive beauty that the Phillies have pulled in 2 games. First one by Franco at third base last night. I think that ball was hit by Molina also, wasn't it? Now the one by Valentin.
Chevy called to the pen. Yaxel Rios. Fowler 0 for 2 with the walk. Pair of strikeouts tonight. And he hits it the other way. Pretty well hit, but that'll stay in the ballpark, and the catch is made. beat the summer heat on Sunday, July 1st. That day, 30,000 fans 16 and older take home a bucket hat courtesy of Coke. Kids 15 and younger entering with the ticket receive that kids bucket hat. That's courtesy of Powerade. Cardinals.com/promotions.
Here's Greg Holland. Would Mike Matheny send him back out there? Why not?
13 pitches for Holland. No one throwing in the Cardinals' pen. I think there's two schools of thought maybe with this, Tim. One, like you said, throw him back out there. Looks good. Momentum. The other is, it's a 1-2-3 inning. That's good enough. Build on that. Turn the page.
I don't agree with that.
And Munoz looks at a strike.
I understand that that is the conventional route that most managers take, most organizations. But when a guy has thrown, what did he throw, 12 pitches, 13
I believe.
15? I mean, he's been resting since late May. Take advantage of you trying to win the game. He's your best option right now. That's my thinking.
The 1-2 pitch. Pulled foul. Munoz, pair of singles tonight. He got the rally going for the Cardinals in the top of the 7th with a base hit to left. He's also walked.
If you want to use a little levity as far as Holland's concerned, if you don't want to pitch 2 innings, don't look so good in that first one.
Awfully good that first inning.
Whew.
Jammed him. Slow roller to second. And a 1-2-3 for Rios.
We're going to find out whether Holland's back out there or not.
Well, you lived here a long time. Do you ever have a Gino's Philly cheesesteak?
I don't believe I've ever eaten a cheesesteak at Gino's, but I've eaten many cheesesteaks in this lovely city.
Well, you need to do it.
You've been to Gino's?
Yeah. Yeah, you need to do it.
Good curveball from Gomber to start.
I'll talk about that in a moment. Let's get back on the cheesesteaks. You need to do it. Now we can talk about the curveball, and that was a beauty.
Okay.
That's what Gomber has, a really good curveball. Starter in the minor leagues, now working at out of the bullpen for the Cardinals. Alfaro at the plate, another beauty. 0-2. So this is our answer. Cardinals going with Gomber. Holland, the solid inning.
I think Alfaro's going to see another curve. Nope, got the heater. Now he goes to the curveball, I would imagine.
Alfaro is 1 for 3. Grounded out to third. Popped out and singled to right. Swing and a miss. That pitch at 95.
That's impressive. Gomber, what, 6'4.5"? Tall guy. 2 curveballs, 2 fastballs to get Alfaro.
And Tim, there were times at Memphis this year he was dominant. He had one game in which he struck out 14. PCL pitcher of the week at one point.
He just dominated Alfaro, the catcher for the Phillies. Blew him away.
They talk about how he hides the ball too. Watch this, behind his left hip. Then all of a sudden comes over the top. It really hides the ball well. 2 balls, no strikes. Two and 1. And the 2-1 is hit out of play. Hicks is just walking around right now, and now he grabs his glove. I thought he might be getting loose here at some point. As you know, a baseball game, things can unravel quickly. So you want to get that guy up, get him ready just in case. 3-2. So he just starts throwing right now. Bud Norris had 12 pitches Sunday, 13 last night. A little bit low, and now the tying run comes to the plate. One out walk, and it brings in Mike Alfranco. Took over for J.P. Crawford, who was hit by a pitch and had to leave. And there's a strike. Well, seeing Gomber here in the 8th, it makes you wonder if Norris is off limits. Typically Hicks the 8th, Norris the 9th, but with 2 days in a row by Norris, may be unavailable tonight. Hicks could be your 8th inning man.
Anytime you bring in Jordan Hicks, he could be your 9th inning guy, 8th inning guy, whatever Mike Matheny elects to do. Very important for Austin Gomber to complete this inning.
He'll get it out here. Popped up. Carpenter, foul territory, puts it away for the out. And the top of the lineup, and Hernandez, the switch hitter.
If you're watching at home and you're looking at Gomber, you're probably thinking, man, that ball looks like more of a 98-mile-an-hour fastball than 95 or 96, kind of the conventional fastball. I think it's the reason for that is his height. He's a tall, lean guy, and those guys seem to release the ball a little closer to home plate.
That's lined into right field and a base hit. And standing at second base. Oh boy.
Well, they had to hold up for that ball to get by him, and that's why he stopped at second base.
So Valentine at second base. Now Hoskins with runners at first and second. Great power at the plate. This may be a stall tactic to give Hicks a little bit more time and try to make this potentially a 4-out save. We'll see. That's what it was. So you may see a double switch here. You could see Bader come into the ball game as well, and you improve yourself defensively in the outfield too. Mike Matheny going to the home plate umpire, and as I say that, Harrison Bader pops out of the dugout, so Bader will go into the outfield for Dexter Fowler. So you get a very good defender in right. And Jordan Hicks will come on and try to get the final 4 outs in this ball game. 6-4. Hoskins coming up. Hicks coming in. So he takes over part of the double switch in right. And Jordan Hicks into the ball game for the Cardinals. He'll have 2 runners on this year. 2.21 ERA. Pitched on Sunday. And this is our Chevy call to the pen. What a weapon.
What a weapon is right. For those of you who may not have seen Jordan Hicks pitch yet, he is routinely the upper 90s to 102, 103. He has reached 105, I think, in one game this year.
He did it against the man on deck.
Yeah, against the Phillies, right.
Herrera was up.
He ended up throwing a wild pitch with a 2-strike count. Herrera swinging at it and reaching first base. That was the last game in St. Louis when the Phillies were there.
And a fastball and a strike at 101. I asked a scout about Hicks the other day, and he said, well, when I go around and I see hard throwers, primarily they're tall, lean, but tall. He said this kid is put together, and you just don't see this. This is not something you watch every day in this type of guy. And the equalizer that has improved dramatically from the beginning of the season, his slider. So his hitters gear up for the fastball. Now he's got a wipe out slider.
To me, that slider makes him a routine pitcher, Dan. That's my opinion. The hitters don't go ooh and ah over the slider. They ooh and ah over the fastball.
102 with sink. That's the other part of it too. The Hyundai pitch arsenal for Jordan Hicks. The next to Hoskins. Driven out to right center. Bader over, won't get there, cuts it off, but dropped it. And 2 runs will come in to score, and the game is tied.
That's about as tough a pitch to hit as you can handle. That ball right on the black away, right at the knees. Hoskins did not try to do anything but go the other way. And he did successfully to tie the ball game.
Bader was able to cut it off before it got to the wall, but it just bounced out of his glove, so couldn't handle it cleanly. And now the go-ahead run at second base. And here's Herrera. This is the matchup we were talking about, in which Hicks hit 105 on the gun and said he was motivated by Herrera always stepping out of the batter's box. And a grounder that's pulled foul. We flash back into Sunday in St. Louis. 104 on the gun. And there's 105. And again.
That was a strikeout. And now Herrera finally runs to first after not being able to find the ball. And Pena's throw to first not in time.
Those were Hicks' top speeds this year. And the 0-1. That is the slider.
That is a good slider right there. That thing disappeared under the bat head of Herrera.
The 0-2. Blocked by Molina.
Great play by Yachty. The ball bouncing about 2 feet in front of home plate. Molina going down with the pitch beautifully. That's textbook there.
The one. Ooh, he may have hit that off the ground.
Maybe.
It seemed like it.
Shades of Vladimir Guerrero
Sure
right
was.
there.
Hoskins ties it up at 6. Began his career 15 2/3 scoreless innings. And during that streak, he allowed 3 base runners. Hard thrower.
Been the hottest guy out of the bullpen for the Phillies too. Colton Wong has really had a good night. Hit a home run. He's been hit by a pitch.
That's your Nissan drive of the game.
Scored a couple of runs.
Wong with a solo home run in the 5th. Scored a run in the 7th after being hit by that pitch.
Tell you, Jordan Hicks is so good that you're astonished when somebody hits a ball hard like Hoskins did. That's how good he is.
Yep. The surprising thing was beginning of the year where for a guy that was throwing 102 and 103 with regularity, seeing the ball put in play. Didn't see a lot of strikeouts, but then he's gotten the slider better and better and better, so that's added to it. But Hoskins tied it up. The 2-1 pitch now to Wong. 2-2. Wong, and we'll see Jed Jerko. Outside corner and a strikeout. So again, the Cardinals in double digits in strikeouts. That's 10 tonight. Here's Jed Jerko. He can turn on a fastball. We talk about it a lot. Got one there and skies it. Ooh, he'd love to have that back. See by his reaction too.
Yeah. Hitters talk to themselves. That's a very healthy sign. Maybe not in other fields of endeavor. Very healthy in baseball.
And a strikeout of Jerko. So back-to-back Ks.
That was nasty. Nobody's going to do anything with that. That last pitch from Dominguez.
Here's Matt Carpenter, a key double back in the 7th, a 4-run 7th inning for the Cardinals. Cardinals have used Weaver, Brebbia, Holland, Gomber, and Hicks. And for the Phillies, Velasquez, Hunter, Rios, and now Dominguez. Six our score. Another tight game late. Oh, 2. The Phillies will have Santana, their cleanup man, Altair, and Kingery coming up. Carpenter hits it a ton down the right field line. It is gone. It's a home run, just fair on an 0-2 pitch. Carpenter goes deep, and the Cardinals go back on top.
There's a saying in baseball that pitchers have when they pitch to left-handed batters. And that saying is, you can't hide down and in. Carpenter looking for the fastball. I thought that ball was more down and in, but it wasn't as much as I thought initially. Boy, you talk about, he can't hit a ball any harder than the one he just hit. I mean, just smoked to right field.
The first home run he has allowed. And it looks like a baseball has made its way onto the field in center, so they'll clean that up. Again, the Cardinals coming from behind to tie it up, and now again late taking a lead just like they did in game one.
In the 10th inning of last night on the home run by Tommy Pham.
And Pham hits a grounder that is fair. Franco throws and got him. Matt Carpenter with 3 RBIs tonight. Another home run, his 12th. Birds back on top. Double that scored 2 in the 7th that tied the game, and now this home run in the 9th to put the Cardinals on top. Jordan Hicks to face Santana, Altair, and Kingery. And the first pitch, a ground ball. Munoz to his left and makes the play. 1 pitch and 1 away. Our Budweiser plays of the game. And we'll go back to Greg Holland. It might get overlooked to an extent with the heroics laid by Carpenter, but it shouldn't be. The Cardinals need this in a big way. Greg Holland, a scoreless inning and 2 strikeouts.
A lot of good things have happened. Of course, the double to right center by Hoskins off Hicks. Those things happen.
And a strike. Knapp is at the on-deck circle. Aaron Altair had the big base hit late last night.
High fastball. Ball that got by Marcell Ozuna in left field, and the tying and winning run both scored.
Here's a 1-1. Wow. Knee buckler that time. They backed up a little bit.
Good slider there.
And the 1-2 pitch. Another slider outside, 2-2. Struck him out, and there's 2 away. As Hicks nearly fell off the mound.
You just hope he's touching that the inside of his left ankle. Chris Coughlin looking on. Looks like he lost his balance. Chris seeking advice from Jose Oquendo. He appears to be all right.
And that's hit out of play. Andrew Knapp, the batter.
It's the thing about a talent like Jordan Hicks. so sensitive about injuries as hard as he throws. Say his frame, that long, thin frame. How hard do you have to throw for something to go wrong? That's the fear of Cardinal fans.
And the 0-1 pitch. 103 on the gun. I mean, this guy is must-see TV, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Well put.
And now the Phillies down to their final strike. Nearly hit him. Some tense moments in game 1 and now again in game 2. 7-6. Bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The next by Hicks, taken high. 103, and Yachty really not a lot of time to react and just kind of like, whoa.
Well, there are 2 guys who are very impressed more than anybody else. The hitter and Hicks's catcher, who is usually Molina.
The 2-2 struck him out. 101 on the gun, and the Cardinals come back late and they win it 7-6. That is a good win for St. Louis. And hard fought, to say the least. Carpenter drives in 3. The RBI double in the 7th and a home run in the 9th.
Similar to last night's victory for the Phillies, big win for the Cardinals.